just when you took this job, I mean, how anxious were you and excited to get this opportunity to come to Nebraska?
Oh my gosh, like just being back around Coach. So I went 12, 13 weeks without him, without Coop, T-Knight, those are my guys. So once I got to be back around him, I was like, let's freaking roll.
Garret, what's the first month or so been like for you to, get settled here, get back into the state of Texas, do some recruiting? Can you just kind of capture for us what these days have been like?
Drinking out of a fire hose a little bit, if you can kind of picture that. No, it's been like the most rewarding part is being back around the high school coaches. I got to see Claude Mathis, Scott Stewart, Hank Carter, dear friends of mine, mentors of mine. You guys saw like a tweet I put out about a week ago about high school coaches are my heroes. Well, that's true. I believe in high school football. I believe in the high school experience.
Garret, what did you get out of the experience with Carolina? Just how much did that help you the last couple of years and dealing with pro athletes and how that can help you moving forward?
Right, yes, sir. Well, what was awesome was I dealt with guys that were a lot older than me. One of the dudes I coached was Andre Roberts, who he made league minimum, which, league minimum's a lot of money, but he also owned 9 Zaxby's. So that was like a part-time gig for him. But no, seriously, I was around the best of the best, like DJ Moore, Baker Mayfield, Laviska Chenault, who I actually played with or played against in high school. Like I was on the phone with DJ this morning, got to say hello to his 2-year-old daughter, who, if you guys get a chance, go look her up on Instagram. She's 2 going on 25. But no, I loved every bit of being in Carolina.
Hey Garret, Lauren Michelson, Channel News here in Lincoln. What are some of the conversations been like with your dad throughout this transition?
A lot. Yeah, so I call him about every night. Just, ask him for help. He's his best recruiter. I tell that to everybody. You see him, he goes out on the road by himself, which, there's a lot of respect behind that. And I'm just always like trying to get his evaluation of me. Am I doing enough? Am I doing the right things? And that's what's so cool about me is like I'm the son of a coach, so I spent 18 years with best coach I know. We were under the same roof, you know that, Max. You know how close him and I are, but so like I'll ask him about recruiting, but mainly he just keeps going, talk to your players, talk to their players' parents. If you guys were down there 10 minutes ago, there were 6 guys in my room just hanging out, and I was like, hey guys, I got honey buns, I got Pop-Tarts, come get one, just sit there, hang out with me as I'm freaking watching tape and doing all that.
What's it been like for you to get to know those guys, to get to meet those guys, and how do you deal with the dynamic of being the same age as your players, or a little bit older, maybe in some cases even a little bit younger? What's your approach to to just tackling that situation?
Mm-hmm. Well, what's really cool about the receiver room is we got Texas, Virginia, St. Louis, Cali, Georgia, Florida. We're all over the place. So it's a good group of guys. They're working really, really hard. But I'm attacking it every way like I can. It's about relationships. I want to know what they're like. I want to know what their parents are like. I want to know their classes. I got a big sign on my board right now of a guy who's not doing well in school. And every time he sees me, every time I just point at the board, so that's pretty cool. It's just a reminder, and like he knows I care, and that's all that matters is, that old Nick Saban quote, they don't care about how much you know till they know how much you care.
Andy Kennedy from KTV. Some people making a big deal about how young you are to be in your position, but how can that benefit you, work as an advantage, and how would you respond to those that age is just a number?
Yes, sir. Well, I got really lucky being around the people I've been around. You talk about Joe Brady, Ben McAdoo, James Campen, Matt Lombardi, Mike Sarabo, guys that really poured into me, taught me from a young age of how to coach, how to treat people. Obviously, my dad and Coach Rule being the 2 biggest influences on me. So, yeah, I'm probably a little bit ahead of the curveball being, younger, but, like I said, we're just going at it.
Garrett, when you're in high school at Cedar Hill, did you know you probably wanted to get in coaching?
Yes, sir. So in second grade, I knew I probably wouldn't be too much of a football player, and I was going right into coaching. So everything I did, I was third, fourth grade. I'd sleep in the office with my dad. You know how that goes. And, I grew up on we did mat drills on Wednesday. I grew up playing on a wrestling mat. That was my playground. So.
How did you approach your time at Baylor? I mean, you sat in the quarterback room and kind of got to learn firsthand there. What did you learn there that you can kind of adapt here?
Yes, sir. So what's awesome is a lot of what we're going to do on offense, there's carryover with everywhere I've been. And luckily, our OC, Coach Satt, obviously Coach Rule was there. And then Coach Satt was in Carolina, and then he went to South Carolina, obviously, and did really good things. So, right now we're speaking in tongues, kind of, to probably some of the other people in the room. But to us, it all makes sense. We're pulling from all these offenses, and the verbiage, it hits our brain. So that's what's really been helpful.
You're a month away, or maybe a little bit over a month away from getting to get out there on the practice field with these guys. And you've got, after recruiting a pretty big group of receivers to work with, what do you anticipate those 15 practices in the spring are going to be like? And for you, what do you want to do in that period of time?
Yes, sir. Well, we have this thing. We want to get 1% better, and I like to do that every single day. What's cool about my room is they're hard workers, and they are competitive. And you can see that on tape, watching some last year's tape, watching guys that have been other places, whether that be other conferences or other schools. And so that standard's already set of how they want to play. And then you add our brand of football, it being the toughest, hardest working, most competitive team in the country. That's kind of what I want to look like in April.
Garrett, Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald.
Yes, sir.
What's it like having an old teammate of yours, Josh Flakes, as a guy in your position group now? What's that dynamic like?
He's not only an old teammate, he's a good friend. We used to hang out together. First touchdown pass I ever threw in high school was to him. But, he was sitting there in my office. He was one of those 6-7 guys down there. He was just asking about his son, asking about his dad. I went to school with his older brother. So we're really, really close. What's cool, though, is when we were at Baylor, when we were installing the offense, him and I went through a few different coordinators together and a few different systems. So, teaching him and he's got a lot of respect for kind of the way we teach. So, it's good. Same way for him. He's got some of the same verbiage carryover for him.
You guys added another transfer in Billy Kemp. Just what he did at Virginia. What do you know about Billy? What attracted you guys to Billy to bring him in as a one-year transfer guy?
Yes, sir. So Billy, being around him, he's a vet of the group. He sees a lot of things. Obviously, this being his 5th, 6th year, I think. But he's a freaking worker, and that's what he's setting the standard of the room of how we want to work. Whether that's mat drills, doing the extra, doing the jugs. But, that's the whole group. Seriously, that's the ethos of that group right now. It's just their work ethic. I've been so impressed with that.
Evan Cooper said you guys get up and work out at 4:30 or something. Is that right?
So I figured that would come up, and I'm going to be honest, guys. He's beat me in the last 2 days, and it's kind of ticked me off. But, yeah, we're working in there about 4:30. He's on a different program than with me. I was doing squats this morning. He's doing curls. I got to get on that one to look like him.
Could you just talk, though, about how you drive each other? I know Coach Rule said it's not to compete against each other necessarily, but you can drive each other to be better, and just how that relationship works.
Right. So one of my favorite things about Coach is, you know how you tape your ankles? You're going to practice. You got to tape your ankles as a coach when you're with him. You got to get ready to go. Buckle up, because he'll challenge you, and he likes the confrontation, and we all do. So we're competing with each other. When those DBs and receivers go one-on-one, shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if me and Coop go one-on-one.
You said that Coach Rule and your dad are the two biggest coaching influences in your life. Obviously, it's easy to understand why your dad would be in that position. You spent less time at Baylor with Coach Rule. Can you explain what you took from him during that time and how he became such an important influence for you?
So the first time I met Coach, he came spent the night over. Him and my dad were recruiting Dallas. I stayed up all night just trying to meet this guy. You know, I've heard so much about him. But seriously, you know, we have a process, and I believe in our process because I was a part of it. I saw it work. You know, I trust it. You know, you'll see us say trust the process, OOU, all that stuff. But everything I do, the way I talk, walk, act, that's Coach Rule's DNA in reality.
Other questions, guys?
Coach, what does the OOU in one of us, what does that mean to you?
You know, it's just a select group, right? You know, you kind of lay down for the brand, right? So we got a lot of guys that have had a lot of opportunities to go elsewhere, but like this is where they want to be. You know, they want to be around this family. That's kind of my favorite part about being with Coach Rule is like I like seeing Vivi and Leona run up and down the halls. You know, my favorite person in the building is actually Terrence Knighton's son, Jameer. I'd love to go watch him play basketball whenever I can get out of here, but no, that's just one of us. You know, we have a brand, and that OOU shows up kind of every morning.
Eric, Kevin Suits with Channel 10 here in town. Some of your colleagues and the new coaches on staff have talked about their memories of Nebraska. Clearly, they remember the 90s. What are your recollections of Nebraska football, and how closely have you watched this program from afar, if at all?
Yes, sir. So obviously wasn't around in the 90s, guys. I know I'm a young guy. But I am a 90s baby. I'm 99, so I count. But honestly, my first memory is Colt McCoy versus Ndamukong Suh, you know, in the Big 12 title game, because that was kind of a heartbreaker, obviously. But, you know, I'm a Big 12 raised, kind of just being from that area. So obviously watched them, watched Coach Pelini, kept close with Coach Frost, and, you know, he had some guys on staff that I'm close friends with. So, you know, obviously always kept up with Nebraska football.
What's the reception been like? It feels like Nebraska's making headways in Texas, big time recruiting. But what have you felt just like in the halls or in those visits?
Right. Well, you know, we hired so many Texas guys, and then obviously we hit a home run with Dr. Elza. And the waves of Dr. Elza, you know, has really hit the THSCA. But just Coach Rule has earned and gained so much respect there. Because of, you know, how good he was and how he did it the right way at Baylor. And then not only that, like, shoot, one of the greatest coaches of all time is D.W. Rutledge, who was at Converse Judson. Well, shoot, he visited us in Carolina. You know, so that kind of goes to show the relationship not only he had, but just kept throughout, you know, ever since he was at Baylor.
Okay.